this sort of question can be phrased in a number of ways. The way that you phrased it, I don't think there's any debate that it's Lamine Yamal, because let's first start here. We talk about Julián Álvarez as young, and in the grand scheme of life, he is young. But in football years, he's 25. Here's how these games have gone. You must say you give Atleti a lot of credit. That first game was in Barcelona on December the 21st. Barcelona dominated the game, let's be clear, for 75 minutes. And then Atleti late on, do their Atleti things, hit on the counterattack. Alexander Sørloth loves a late goal against Barcelona. He got one as well in that first leg, which was one of the games of the season. Crazy.
Great
first
stuff.
leg in the Copa del Rey, the 4-4 draw. So this has been a great series so far this season, but you just sort of wonder what kind of game can Atleti bring considering everything that would have happened, because you can't script the kind of difficulty that I mean, to have a double touch knock you out of the UEFA Champions League when most people, I don't think, would have even known about the rule going into that situation. Never mind seen it clearly. We've seen it and examined it a million times. UEFA, I thought, put out a very convincing angle of the call, which I think very clearly shows. But even in putting out the angle of the call, they go out in the final paragraph of that statement, well, we're going to look at the rule and see if this is a rule we need to change, because it seems it's so harsh. And so for UEFA to acknowledge that, I think only underscores the difficulty that Diego Simeone has on his hands of, we were so harshly done by. How in the world are we going to go again?
So it makes you wonder, because of the way and the nature that it all went down just a few days ago for Atleti, will we see that Atletico Madrid maybe change tactics a bit, maybe revert back to what they've done in the past, parking the bus? They used a 5-man back line at times against Real Madrid. Is that something that maybe can maybe push them to some success against a very skilled Barcelona side?
I think we're going to see very similar to what we saw in this second leg against Real Madrid, albeit with some changes in the lineup, you would imagine. I think they're going to come flying out of the traps. First 10 minutes, try and get a goal, and if they don't get one, then they settle into their organization. It'll probably start as a 4-4-2. It might need to be more than that. It might be 5-4-1 come the end of the game, but I think they'll make their 3 or 4 changes. I don't think really a lot materially changes for them in terms of how they will approach games. The question is, do they have the physical energy? We saw a couple of players come off with cramp at the end of that game, and can they physically go again after going 120 minutes, some of them, including that man Álvarez, and can you deal with this Barcelona team? Because I think that's the biggest thing, is this Barcelona side really against everybody are fantastic from an attacking point of view. The ideas they have in midfield, the ideas they have in wide areas, Lewandowski is the goal scorer up front. It is just ridiculous what this Barcelona team brings to the table. But yeah, I think from a game plan standpoint, not much really changes in my mind. I think they're going to be very organized as they were for large portions of the Real Madrid tie. And let's be honest, they didn't really give up much. And I think there definitely was a part of me that looked at them in the first 30 seconds of the game, they get a goal, and then they sit back. And I'm just like, give me like 10 more minutes of going at Real Madrid and making them uncomfortable. Can you make them uncomfortable? Can they make Barcelona uncomfortable in periods of this game? They certainly can do when they put their minds to it. But I think the lion's share of the game will be spent behind the ball, organized, trying to make life difficult for Barcelona to create chances.
So this matchup, obviously, it's going to maybe go a long way to deciding who will win La Liga, and it's just the beginning of a stretch now for all 3 of these teams, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico Madrid. So we're talking about trophies. Barcelona still has a possibility to win 3 trophies, Atleti 2. Let's start with Barcelona. Can they win a treble? Can this team, they have shown frailties defensively, but with all of the talent that they have, especially in the attacking end of the ball, can they win the treble this season?
I mean, they can, because they're in it in all of these competitions, and they score a ton of goals. They scored 71 in La Liga. They've scored a ton in the Champions. They scored more than 120 goals this season. It's a ridiculous goal-scoring record that they have in all these competitions. I just think at some point, whether it's in La Liga, whether it's in even this second leg that they have to play against Atleti in Madrid, where the aggregate score is level, I just can't see them being that level of ruthless about winning. I don't think they quite have that level in their squad where, yes, they're brilliant going forward, but they're also playing a very high line. They leave themselves exposed on occasion. We've seen them go through their fallow periods of the season. I don't see a team that has a ruthless streak about them as yet. Maybe they'll prove it this year, and in the future we'll start to think of this Barcelona team as, oh man, you got to go through that Barcelona team. But I just don't think, because reputationally and because from a level of experience, there's still a lot of young players that they're relying on. I don't think that they're ruthless winners as yet. That for me is Real Madrid's reputation. That's what you expect them to do in the Champions League, what you expect them to do in big games in La Liga. But I don't think Barcelona are quite there yet. So I think they could go all the way in La Liga. I mean, The thing is, I picked them to win the Champions League. I believe massively in this team. I just think that at some point, one of these are going to slip up. And it might be La Liga, and it might be Copa del Rey, but I think that they'll definitely win something. I just don't know how much they have about them that's really drive home multiple trophies, kind of defining era teams.
I mean, it's fair. It's fair. And you also have to look at just with the amount of matches that these teams have as well. I mean, we saw it last weekend as well. We saw with Atletico Madrid losing a match, Real Madrid losing a match in La Liga. I mean, the amount of matches is clearly going to have some impact on how all of these championships and all these trophies pan out. Atleti also have to focus on Barcelona, not just in La Liga, but also in that Copa del Rey, that second leg. If Atleti aren't able to find a result, the only result that I think helps them this weekend is a win against Barcelona. If they're not able to do that, does then all of their focus now go to Copa del Rey and trying to win at least, or secure at least one trophy this season?
I mean, if they lose, they'll be 4 points behind, and Barcelona will still have a game in hand.
Right.
That's a really difficult mountain to overcome, and I think in some ways, it could be sort of a death blow for their season. I know that they have a home second leg to play against Barcelona, and then even if they do win, they have the unenviable task going to a Copa del Rey final and playing Real Madrid again.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a mental challenge that would be to see that. I mean, you probably never want to see them again for the rest of your life, and you have to play a cup final against them. So, yeah, I mean, you probably do shift your emphasis to that cup final. Simeone will have the team believing all the way to the end, even if they lose this game, that they can still make it up. And Barcelona have had periods where they go 10 games that affords their opposition in this title race an opportunity to go again. But I think they can't lose this game. They can't lose this game if they want to maintain any hope of genuinely challenging for La Liga. It can't be 2 defeats in a row, and it can't be to one of the title rivals.
But I will say, I mean, their schedule in La Liga after this has been a very rough stretch in the schedule for Atletico Madrid in all competitions. But after this game in La Liga, it gets a bit easier. So there is some room to make up. I think if they can at least squeak a point out of this match, they're alive. They're alive moving forward and can do it. This is an interesting conversation that I think is going to spark a lot of debate on this desk. But we're talking about the two stars from this team, Lamine Yamal on one end for Barcelona, Julián Álvarez for Atletico Madrid. If you had to start a club and you had a choice between one of those two players, who are you picking?
So I do think that this sort of question can be phrased in a number of ways. The way that you phrased it, I don't think there's any debate that it's Lamine Yamal, because let's first start here. We talk about Julián Álvarez as young, and in the grand scheme of life, he is young, but in football years, he's 25.
Right.
So that's prime age. That's when you would expect a player to really be hitting his stride. And to be fair, he is at Atletico. But Lamine Yamal sort of has a limitless potential. This is a level of player where you see the ideas that he pulls off. For me, even the first leg, or the first goal, where it's an assist. It's on the right side, beats 2 men, and he hits the ball with his left foot, bending away without really hitting it Trivela style, and it comes to Rafinha almost flawlessly on his left boot. It's a level of quality that is just absurd. You look at over the course of the season, 12 goals, 16 assists. I think in some ways he and Barcelona have left a lot of that production on the table. It could be even more considering the amount of chances they create and the quality of those chances. For me, you watch a player, I thought Thierry Henry made a great point on Champions League today about the patience that he has, even in big moments. He's 17 years old. He's playing a big game for Spain for the national team, and he tells Dani Carvajal after scoring a goal, let's calm the ball. Yeah, we're not going crazy, and it is just it's insane the skill this player has. I give a lot of credit to Álvarez, how he's settled in year one, but if the way you asked the question, now maybe if we're winning a game tomorrow, we can maybe have a debate because Álvarez has been so good. But if you're building a club, it has to be Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. The class that Lamine Yamal is on is a class, and obviously very young and still a lot of football to play and a lot to really make sure he gets to the level.
Yeah.
But he could be on the same level as a Messi, as a Ronaldo, as some of the top players to ever play this game. He has that talent. He has that magic already.
And he's doing it in winning teams. He's not doing it in teams where, oh, wow, what a great talent. They're 6th in the league. No, they're top of the league. Yeah. They're in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. They won the Euros for Spain. Yeah. So he's doing it in winning teams, showing that level of talent. It's incredible.